So today, I want to talk about controllers. We got a bunch of them sitting here. And the reason I want to do this is because over the years, I've reviewed a buttload of different controllers for various systems. And I think enough time has gone by where I could say, hey, these are the specific controllers that I use all the damn time. And that's definitely changed over the years. Something will come out, I'll love it, and then something new will come out, and I'll prefer that type of thing. But these are the controllers I've been mainly sticking to. And we're talking current generation stuff and some retro consoles as well. Not going to be all encompassing, but all the time when I live stream any system, people always ask, what controller are you using? And this doesn't even barely scratch the surface of the controllers that I actually own. But these are the ones that have been lying around and getting a ton of use because I prefer them, right? Now the Nintendo Switch, that's the one I want to get out of the way real quick. The Pro controller, the original authentic Pro controller. I like this controller. Never had too much of an issue with it, but its weakest point is definitely the D-pad. It really should be perfect, but it's not. I think it's a comfortable controller and I always liked it, and there'd be so many third-party controllers that came out that I would use them. They were okay, but I still would default back to this. And that was until the Pro 2 came out from 8BitDo or 8BitDo. I'm not going to get into that argument. Say it however you want. Say it how they say it. I don't care. But the Pro 2, I freaking love this controller. It's comfortable. It's got that Super Nintendo style to it. I love it. It's got very minimal texture to grip onto, so it doesn't slip out of your hands if you get all sweaty for some strange reason. If you got moist hands. I don't have moist hands, but hey, the grip feels nice. I like how the analog sticks are placed. Not always my preference, but I feel like the left analog stick, I could jump to the D-pad easily, and this D-pad is probably one of the best D-pads I've ever used. It's amazing. Everything about this controller I like. You could use the ultimate software, change the sensitivity of the analog sticks, change what the buttons do. You got back buttons, stuff like that. In all honesty, those extra features, the ultimate software and the back buttons, while I'll highlight that stuff in videos, I never use it. Not in my actual personal time playing games. I don't use any of that stuff. Occasionally though, the back buttons, setting them to macros or certain other things has come in handy, but it's very rare that I use it. So it's still nice that it's there. What I really like about this is the mode switch on the back. So you go from X input, D input, switch. And the way I have this set up is I use it on my Switch and then I have it synced to my Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, boom, I just swap it over and I don't have to resync anything. I'm good. You got multiple profiles that you can swap to if you change what the buttons do. A rechargeable battery that you could remove, put AA's in there if you want, USB-C. It is great. So when I saw they announced the ultimate Bluetooth controller, I was excited. This one's specifically for the Switch, but can be used for PC and other things, and it's Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz. And I thought I was going to really love it, and I do, but I thought maybe this will replace this, and it didn't. But I think I'll give this more of a shot. I haven't covered this yet. I've been using it for a couple weeks now. I love that it's got the charging dock. It just makes it easier for me where I'm not let me unplug something. I have a dedicated spot for it. That may sound silly, but just boom, I'm good, right? Now, it has all the same features mostly as this does, but the only thing is it has a switch for Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz. Then it does have the profile switch if you use the ultimate software to change things around. It's got a nice weight to it. I really like the feel of it, but I still just prefer this for some reason. But some people may like this better. Now, I do like this in this form because the wired version for the Xbox that came out a while back is the same controller. It's exactly the same, just the buttons reflect the different systems, right? And this is wired. Now, I use this on my PC as a backup to this, the official 360 wired controller, old trusty here, one of the best controllers out there for PC, but I like this D-pad better. So I've kind of stuck to this when I use a wired controller on my PC. If I'm using a wireless controller on my normal PC, I use I don't think I have one out here, but an Xbox, Series X controller or whatever. So Switch is out of the way. Well, I do use this on the Switch at times too. I love this controller. 2.4 gigahertz. It has Bluetooth as well, or you can go wired. I modified it a little bit. But I use this for other things as well, but you know, on the Switch, that's cool. Another wired controller that I'll use for like, you know, little like emulation builds is the Wired Pro 2. The same as this, just wired, and I love it just as much. I have wired controllers as like backups because sometimes I forget to charge my stuff, all right? Now, Nintendo 64, this one may be controversial. I've used so many different Nintendo 64 controllers from Retrobit, Hyperkin, Retro Fighters. I don't think the Hyperkin controllers are good, but Retrobit and Retro Fighters, I have enjoyed their controllers, but there's just something that always brought me back to an original Nintendo 64 controller. It's wired, but you know, some people hate this, but it's natural. I had a Nintendo 64 the day it came out and I was super hyped for it, played the crap out of it, and just using the controller that was designed for the system, going to anything else, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know what it is. And I gave like the Retrobit wireless controller, I used that a lot, but in the end, I just kept going back to this. That's just the way it is for me. I have to have the original Nintendo 64 controller with all the features, everything working the way it's intended, and the 3 prongs. It's comfortable to me. It's weird, but it's comfortable. I'm fine with it. A GameCube, same thing. Until Retro Fighters puts out their Blade and Battler, I won't know if maybe I'll switch to those. But yeah, standard GameCube controller or Wavebird, that's what I'm doing on the GameCube. And then another thing on the GameCube, I know I covered, what was that controller? The Hori Game Boy Player controller clone where we swapped the membranes. While that thing was okay, I kind of reverted back to using this, like a RAFnet adapter with a, which just has, you know, to the GameCube, and then you could put like Wii controllers in it type of thing. And I had this, you know, it's the same as like what came with the Super Famicom Mini, but this one was Club Nintendo from Japan, so I've had this for a long time. I just use it with that if I want to do, you know, Game Boy Player stuff. So there's that. What else do we got? Super Nintendo. Yeah, it's the 8-bit-do 2.4 gigahertz controllers. I stick with these all the time. This one's dedicated to my analog pocket. I use this when it's docked. These ones I use on my Super Nintendo or my Super NT. I love these. They feel great. I like using something that feels like the original controller when I'm playing a retro system. So these help. I mean, the only difference is the way the select and start's orientated pretty much. But yeah, there's that. What else do I got? And I use this on the Super Nintendo as well. That was the other thing I wanted to point out. With Bluetooth, with the retro receiver, this thing is versatile, man. Love it. Like I said, I did do some modifications to this controller, and that's kind of what it was intended to, you know, be sold. Like, hey, you could easily modify stuff, even though it wasn't as easy as they made it seem. And then NES, same thing, the 8-bit-do 2.4 gigahertz N30. Love this controller. You got turbos up top, standards at the bottom. Get those corners digging into your hands. I wouldn't have it any other way. But if I do use a wired controller, I do go for the dog bone. Got one right there. I'll use this a lot as well, just because it's more comfortable. But if I don't want wires out, it's this, like 90% of the time. Sega Genesis. Now we're not talking like the mini consoles, though that could be like a whole other video. But the actual Sega Genesis or the Mega SG, the clone console, I use Retrobit's Genesis controllers because for the longest time I was using 8-bit-do's 2.4 gigahertz M30s, but they have like an issue with the D-pad where they start creaking and it feels weird. So I kind of gave up on these. I stopped using them, and I've been sticking with this on the Sega Genesis. So that's what I've been using on the Genesis. I love this controller. I got quite a few of them, both wired and wireless, but I use the wireless ones quite often as long as I remember to charge them. That's like one of the biggest problems for me is charging all this stuff. Holy crap. Sega Saturn, lately I know I have the wireless Saturn ones from Retrobit, and I do use those quite often, but I think it's just, with those, I forget to charge them because I don't play these systems all the time. So I stick to the trusty, just original, you know, Saturn controller. I love the way, this is like one of the best controllers ever made in my opinion. I use this all the time. Retrobit did make, you know, a replica of this with the actual cord. So that's cool too, but I just have so many of the originals. I just use these, but yeah, love this controller. Use it all the time. And I think that's pretty much it. PS5, I don't think there's anything out there for it. And if there is, I just don't know about it because I don't play the PS5 as much as I'd like to. So I just use the original DualSense. And I think that pretty much covers it. That covers it. I can't speak highly enough of this controller. It's freaking amazing. This one's pretty cool too, but I mean, this one's so versatile, but I just kind of like this one better. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Just, yeah, you know, little video. My favorite controllers, what I'm actually using. Let me know what you think.